Today on Very That, trigger warning, TW. Well, we overthink.
We overthink. It's Aquarius season, and we talk about overthinkers because all your Aquarians are overthinkers. We talk about gaslighting,
God.
finances. What else do we talk about?
Treating yourself, of course.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, and Alice in Wonderland.
Hey.
Hey.
Forever. Dog.
Ooh.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
Ow.
Ay, wait.
Very that.
She's so bad.
Oh, honey.
But why is she so very bad?
Very that.
Hi, I'm Delta.
Hi, I'm Raja.
And welcome to Very That.
Yes, this is our weekly podcast. It happens every Monday, as most of you know. And it's just us shooting the shit, talking about life, talking about stuff, talking about our frustrations, talking about memories, just generally everything. It's just very that, right?
Do you think we'll ever win like best podcast in the whole wide world award, like podcast of the year for fart noises and singing just the chorus of old songs, like
and never knowing the lyrics, or just like
I don't think we're gonna win.
no,
but that's okay.
No chance. No one listens.
No, you know what's funny is like the thing of it is that I think just like all of the people that we've ever known, like I feel like the people that listen to this podcast are probably people that we've met before.
Yeah.
And-
Also, I say that I know that people are listening. I just say that because it makes me feel better. It makes me feel less inhibited.
It makes you feel less inhibited. It's kind of like when you qualify something, like, do you know what I mean? Like when you qualify a compliment. Do you know what a qualified compliment is?
I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Well, a qualified compliment is like when you're trying not to take. I take it back. It's not like. I'll tell you what. How about this? A qualified compliment, that's not what you were doing. But a qualified compliment is when someone says, "That looks pretty good for you," or "Actually, you look good in that." Not "you look good in that." It's like, do you see what I'm saying? Like when somebody says like, "Oh, for a fat person, that looks nice," or "You're so tall and you just make it work."
Isn't that a backhanded compliment?
It's a backhanded and it's a bit qualified.
How is it qualified?
Well, because you're qualifying it. You're not quantifying it.
I'm not qualifying it if I take it as a backhanded.
You're not fucking qualified to be on this podcast.
Fuck you. Yo, was I had such a good time the other night. We performed together at Executive Suite, and it was the first time that I'd done it indoor. Like it'd been the entire time I've always done it in the patio, and then like the other night. But was I especially like pedo the other day?
I don't think so. I mean, I think you were.
I'm always kind of drowsy.
I don't think so. I think you're like you always are. I mean, No, I don't mean that I don't mean that in a qualified way. I don't mean that in a quantified way. I mean that in a way of I take you how you are. So there's layers to you. So, as I'm sure there are layers to me, but I know you. I know that you're. When some people might think that you're like you said, like I don't know if did you say drowsy or what was the term that you used?
Pedo.
No. But and what might be perceived by other people as unaffected is actually not you being unaffected. It's you rolling with the punches and sort of like letting everything sort of marinate, and that's just what you do. I mean, that whether you're high or not, that's what you do. Whereas I don't. You know what I mean? I have to overanalyze everything. So therein lies one of the differences between us. And
layers, so many layers. I love layering. You're a good layering person. You layer well.
I lay down well. I go lay down.
No layers. It's been so nice and kind of like I feel like I'm in the Pacific Northwest these days. That's my fantasy. I've been wearing the same sweater like for like days, just like cuddly, warm, yeah. It's so like nice and cool here in LA right now.
Well, the other day when we did the show, what were you there? Was it Saturday we did the show? Yeah. So I had to do brunch that morning, and I normally, if I'm going to do brunch on a Saturday at Hamburger Mary's, oh my God, I totally burped. If I'm going to do brunch, totally burped while I was talking. I'm off. I was going to burp. If I'm going to do brunch on a Saturday, I need to be up no later than 7:00 so I can take a shower and get my suitcase to the car and all that stuff. I usually pack the night before, no matter how late I get in. But for some reason, I sat up like right at 6:30, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm up! Like, I guess I'll just get in the shower now." And I looked at my phone, and it said tsunami advisory for your area, and I was like, "Shut up! You are so dumb." And I like swiped on the phone and looked at it, and it was like, "Yeah, there's a tsunami warning or not warning, advisory," which I'm sure there is a difference between the advisory versus the warning. But sure enough. The in Oregon and even parts of here in Southern California, but the entire West Coast had that warning. And I legit had this concern because I was like, if they're notifying you, and Mary's, and where we were on Saturday at Executive Suite is what, a mile and a half from Mary's. Mary's is sitting right next to the water, and I was like, fuck, thinking in my mind, you know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
Like
I'm always that person too who thinks the worst. Like whenever I'm on the beach, like of course I take photos of myself and I'm like, look at me frolic, I'm a mermaid. But in actuality, as soon as I hit the sand and I see the water, the first thing I think about is the worst, obviously. I'm like, this is the day that the tsunami is going to hit. I'm going to be frolicking, and then all of a sudden the ocean is going to recede by a few miles and then immediately come in a 75-foot wall of water, and it's just going to kill everyone. Just like when I get on an airplane, I always think that I'm going to be the one who plummets down into a crash. So yeah, I always think the worst. If I'm on a roller coaster, I'm like, yes, I'm going to be the one on the news where the seat thing that keeps you inside the roller coaster is going to fucking not work, and then I'm going to go flying out of a roller coaster. I always think that way. I think you do too. Like I always think about. I set myself up for the worst always, because I just want to know all the possibilities, right? I don't want to be like,
know the probabilities. I mean, because it's probably gonna fucking happen, Yeah,
and it can happen to anybody. It's like it could be you. You could be that girl.
I think.
Dang.
Honestly, I think that's why like a lot of our friends, kind of know me as an old lady in a way, because they're always like, come on, just do a shot, just a little cute shot, let's get cute, let's have a cute shot. And I always think to myself, it's not that I have no control over drinking. I'll take a shot. I don't particularly. My thing about drinking is that like I want the effect of drinking. I love the feeling of being drunk, and there's a high that comes from that, and feeling relaxed and having a good time. But I don't really quite enjoy the taste of alcohol. So I'm like, why would I want to just take a shot to disturb this Diet Coke that I'm having? Like, for just to go, all right, don't have another one because you don't want the effect of that, but you wanted to prove to everybody that you were their good Judy and you took a shot. So the reason that a lot of people think I'm an old lady is because I always think, shit, I'm going to be the one who, because I'm always driving everywhere, I'm going to be the one who's going to end up hurting somebody. If I'm, you know what I mean?
Yes,
I'm going to be the one that gets pulled over, that they're going to go, oh, we actually pulled you over for a light that's out in your car, but did you have a cocktail?
Because your breath.
Are you a brown homosexual? Oh, okay, cool. Well, guess what? We have a problem with you, and you're going to jail. It's like, you know what I mean? Or, worse, hurting someone.
Well, I mean, that's a great way to do it. I don't believe in drinking driving. I'm a person who's had a DUI, and I haven't driven since because of it, because I do prefer drinking over driving. I'm not going to do the two together. That's just fucking ridiculous and dangerous.
There's nothing wrong with picking. And I mean, honestly, listen, there's no reason why you can't just jump in an Uber. Of course, I could do that. But I mean,
I think I've been
talking to girls lately that take Ubers that are like, 10 miles from where they're going. And they're like, my Uber was $75. Like the rates are crazy now. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, if you, I bet if you had more of, if you had that, you like the control of driving yourself places.
I do.
So therefore, yeah, so you're definitely not going to jeopardize your, life because you're just not that person. But if you did take Ubers everywhere or taxis or got rides from people like I usually do, you'd get all pedo.
Maybe. Maybe. There's too much, especially when I'm in drag, there's too much to be concerned about. I mean, if I get too relaxed and one thing slips out and then there's like 5 side boobs hanging out and then I have no control over it. And then people are like, oh, sick. I saw her. She looked fucking gross. She has no control. And I'm like, you know what? I need to stay focused here. I need to just put my perfume on and just walk a straight line as much as I can.
Yeah. And also, you know what? To be honest, you're like saying something about being the grandma. I'm already there. I've accepted it. I'm like 2 years away. I'm 2 years, 3 years away from being 50. And I've just accepted it. And I actually like it. I'm like, you know what? I still have fun. I still have a fantasy of myself as being like, remember in the Studio 54 stories and they had they had an old lady playing her. But I've always imagined myself as being like that disco grandma, that's like, like always partying. I'm going to be like,
ew, how,
I'm gonna be like who's that one old lady that Miley Cyrus used to love, Batty Winkle or whatever her name was, and she was this old lady and she had like, I always imagined myself like that, but that's not gonna happen. I'm already at that point where I'm like,
damn,
I want to be at home. I need a warm cup of tea or cold wine to take my half a bar of Xanax and go to bed. Leave me alone.
Well, I mean, no secret. I'm right behind you. When this podcast comes out, it'll be Monday, and I will officially be 46. So, right behind you. Yeah.
Happy birthday!
We have plans this week. We're doing it up. So, I mean, of course, be seeing you again.
Yeah.
To celebrate,
for sure. For sure.
But
for our listeners, happy birthday, Delta.
Well,
yes.
Thank you. It's the season. Well, when this comes out, it'll be the Aquarius season. But let's take a break.
Cerebral is an online mental health service that offers prescription, medication, counseling, and therapy for anxiety, depression, ADHD, insomnia, and more.
Cerebral is an incredible online mental health service that is amazing for people on the go. Having the Cerebral mobile app is like having your own personal care team wherever you are.
Yes, it's true.
And what's really unique about Cerebral is they are one of the few services that provide prescription medication online through a licensed provider that ships the medication right to your home. There's no need to wait at the pharmacy.
I've really enjoyed Cerebral. I've used other online mental health services, and I find that Cerebral goes above and beyond to create a safe and caring environment all on your phone or laptop. I love that you can connect with your counselor and therapist on your schedule with the Cerebral app. I think others should definitely try Cerebral. I think it's beneficial. I think it's time for us to take a little bit better of our mental care. Also, Cerebral is great because they have treatment options available with or without insurance and cost 1/3 the price of traditional therapy.
Cerebral is so good. It's even made for Olympians. Just ask Simone Biles. She's their Chief Impact Officer. She's a huge advocate for mental health and reducing the stigma around mental health.
That's just some of the reasons we love Cerebral.
So for listeners of Very That, you can receive 65% off your first month of medication management and care counseling at Cerebral.com/verythat. That's just $30 to get started. Join Cerebral today on its mission to make quality mental health care accessible and affordable for all.
Go to Cerebral.com/verythat for 65% off your first month.
And we are back with a portion of the podcast we like to call the Annals of the Inbox, or the Anals, because we both like anal. I mean, it changes as you get older, but there's still an interest. You can always send us an email to deltaandraja@gmail.com. We want questions, comments, queries, and if you have pictures of us from back in the day, you can send those as well. Because, listen, you may have been somewhere and documented a show that we were in together or individually, where maybe you were part of it or we were both part of it, or, I don't know, something we talk about all the time. Anyway, we have a first letter from Patrick. I'll read that. Hi, babes. I
Go
would
for
like to
it.
start by expressing how grateful I am for the entertainment and knowledge you dolls provide me weekly. I seriously feel like I owe you good money for the life coaching I've received from you two divas. Speaking of, I would love to hear what your
Hey, go
best
ahead and send.
I
Go
know,
ahead and
right?
send money.
I would like to
Cash
hear
app.
what your best financial tips are.
Oh God.
When is it okay to treat yourself? Also,
Always.
how can a bitch clock a gay who is in it just for the coins? I am not
Mm.
making that much, but I can reasonably expect to soon because of my field of study. Is there It's like there's a switch in the guy's head once they learn the field I'm in. They either
Mm.
don't want no strings attached anymore, or they become extremely fake and clingy and expect me to pay for everything. Kind regards, Patrick Steele von Cox. What are your
Mm.
financial tips? How do you? When is it okay to treat yourself? Is the first part of the question.
I treat myself always. I do it. I believe, you can't take your money with you if you die. And I like things and I impulse shop constant. It is what I do, and my place is a reflection of it because I got a lot of stuff that I've purchased. And I like things. I like to treat myself always. Now, does that get me into trouble financially sometimes because my rent can't be paid because I had to buy, some weird ass thing that I found online to wear on my head? Yeah, that happens to me, and that's not a good thing. So, treat yourself within your means, I guess. As long as
Yeah.
the other shit, as long as the other shit is paid, but definitely allow yourself some of that money. You work hard. And it sounds like you have a very lucrative career that's coming for ahead of you, or you're already in it. So, you work hard, have fun with it. Because and you. I'm learning now as I'm getting older to save a little bit more and think about all of those things as you age, of course. But I do still have a lot of fun with my money. Now, regarding the dating part, I have always been the sugar drag queen in a lot of my relationships. And people have gotten very clingy because I perhaps make more money than them. But that is just something that you're going to have to figure out because in most cases, I actually don't mind treating my whoever I'm dating. So I don't mind it. I actually I find that I'd like to think that sometimes my generosity can be a little sexy. I don't know. I'm just, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends.
I mean, I think this is a fair question, Patrick. The second part of this, how can a bitch clock a gay who was just in it for the coins? You just clocked it. I mean, you've already said that you can tell that somebody is just in it for the money. And if you know, like if you see that and you're like, oh, they have no interest other than what I can provide, get fuck out of here. You don't need that. But where we're coming from is as artists, Raja's an art, and it's weird for me to always be like, oh, I'm an artist. I don't like saying that too much. Like I'm creating art, but we do. You can't really put a time limit or a cash value or any of that or confines when it comes to a relationship with somebody on, well, how much does your art make and how much does my art make? And then if we're doing that 50-50, then you can't. Everybody's operating on a different a scale of reward, of monetary reward or public appreciation or authentic appreciation. So, if you're two artists that are working in a situation where you're both doing something similar, there's always going to be a huge discrepancy in money because what Ruth Brown, there's a singer named Ruth Brown that says, one day you're having ham and bacon and the next day ain't nothing shaking. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way it is. But in this case, if you're working a 9 to 5 and somebody's like, oh, I'm going to drop my 9 to 5 because I only want your money because you're making double what I am. And I just want to eat it all up and you can go fuck yourself. And then that's obvious. I mean,
yeah.
But if you're just rewarding...
And that intuition you start to build up really rapidly.
Yeah.
As soon as you start feeling like you're being taken advantage of. And most times I'm pretty, like I said, I'm pretty generous because I like to live in the moment. And I'm like, hey, let's go eat out. Let's go. Fuck it. I got you. No worries. But then I can also tell when somebody is doing it purposely and just
Right.
literally leeching at my bank account and taking every last fucking penny that's in it. And I can tell the difference. And I know I can tell the difference because I've had the years of experience to notice that. And
You'll know, Patrick.
you know,
You'll know.
you'll know.
You'll know. You
You'll
don't
know.
deserve
You'll
it.
feel it.
Yeah, you don't
Mm-mm.
deserve it.
Yeah,
What about Nick?
Let me read this.
Okay.
Dear Delta and Raja. Dear Delta and Raja, first I want to say I really love the podcast. I love it because it helps me stay in tune with what's going on in the LGBT plus community, and I really value you guys' opinions. My question to you is, in every relationship I have been in, I always get told two things when I get into arguments that really irk me and drive me crazy, and they are, one, oh, poor you're always playing the victim. And the second one is, oh, you're fake. You're just trying to keep up your nice guy image. It really bothers me a lot, and even in my current relationship, I get told that a lot. I don't ever think to myself, I really have to try to protect my nice guy image. I'm just me. I've suffered a lot of trauma in my life, and I hate being called the victim, but I can understand how it can bleed into my personality. I really don't know. How can I get away from these types of comments? What are your thoughts? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, friends. Stay safe. Love, Nick.
Yeah, you know what? I think Nick Nick is trying to possibly avoid the same kind of person that Patrick is trying to avoid, which is the person, you know what I mean? And that's what we're all trying to avoid. Maybe the person that sort of makes you think that you need them more than they need you. And so if these people that maybe, you know, I think we oftentimes will seek out the same type of person over and over because we're seeking happiness in something, right? So, I need to be in a relationship because that is what will fix this. Being in that just a relationship, and then you go back to the same thing over and over, you know, and that's the sign of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. You're not going to get a different result if you're looking for the same guy. Sure, one has blue eyes, one has, but what's the who are they really? And you may be very young or old as well, and think that you're getting something different. If people keep telling you the same thing over and over, sure, you have to look within, but at the same time, if it's the same kind of guy, it could be that same kind of guy that Patrick's avoiding, which is the one that's like, oh no, I love you. What are you going to buy me? So this one's like, I'm going to argue with you and make you feel bad. And then, but I'm going to blame it on you. Is it something like that possibly?
There's a few little layers here that I'm seeing. The first thing that I'm hearing is the gaslighting, which, honey, and you said the sign of insanity is to repeat the same thing over and over again, the same mistake over and over again. And there are points where I've been insane, where I've been gaslit more than a fart on a match, honey.
Right.
Like I understand, and people love to do that to me because initially they're enthralled and they're like, wow, you're cool, and then they figure out, wow, you've got a lot of problems, and then so they use that again and then so they use that all against me. The second part of this is, if you're hearing constantly the same two comments, maybe pull back a little bit. Maybe let's not use our trauma as a way to get sympathy or empathy in an argument. You know, like, oh, I was abused. How could you talk to me like that? My mom used to call me an asshole too. You know, and if you keep hearing your partners, you know, the ones that have failed before, and you keep hearing that over and over again, maybe there's something about you. Maybe you do try to use that all the time. Maybe you are always playing the victim, and it's okay for you to look inside yourself, you know, and say, hey, maybe I am playing the victim. If this is something that you hear constantly, and the other one is, oh, you're fake. You're just trying to keep up your nice guy image.
That's really douchey if you're like in a relationship with somebody and everybody keeps saying the same thing. Like, are you shopping for these guys at the same place? Because it might be guys from the same, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if they're all like that, and, you know, fuck, that's tough. Playing the victim,
Yeah.
huh? That's well, those are fighting
But
words.
but playing the victim, but also keeping a nice guy image. I don't always think of a person. Oh wait, I don't know. This it's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, if you keep hearing it, and you're especially hearing it in your current relationship, first before before you bring it up, really kind of sit there and listen to yourself and listen to what people are saying about you, and just digest it a little bit. It doesn't mean that you have to always like believe all of the negativity that comes towards you, but
Right.
definitely sit down and reassess it within yourself first. Be like, okay, why do people keep saying that? Why that happened? Over the last 3 relationships I've had, I've heard people say that to me. So think about that. But when you know you're being gaslit, then get out and then figure out how to work out the next relationship, and also just enjoy being single too. I don't know.
Also,
maybe-
if you're into overthinking it, do that, and then think also who is telling me this? What's the common denominator between what's being said and who it's being said to? So I'm the common denominator that you're saying this about me, but what's the common denominator between the people saying that? Because is it only the guys you're dating, or is it like people in a professional setting and the lady at the register? And like, is it, if it's a lot of different people wearing a lot of different hats all saying it, but if it's all the same guys, it like,
What if the lady? What if you were at like Ross one day, and the cashier is like, "Oh, poor you! You're always playing the victim." What if she said that to you?
They could be right. I would have to look at it also, but I know we have to go to break, but at some point we need to talk about this thing called trigger warnings. But let's just take a break.
Okay. I'm triggered. And we're back.
We are back. We were talking about that, when this comes out, it'll be my birthday, and it's officially Aquarius season, which you know a lot about.
I think I do. I do. I was gonna prepare something. I was gonna because I knew we were gonna eventually talk about this, but then I was like, I think like if anybody knows what an Aquarius, it's you, and I'm gonna tell you what I know about you and all of my. First of all, Aquarians are my favorite fucking people on the planet. Something about y'all. You are highly creative people. You have very, very solid opinions about something. You're usually quite easygoing and fun. You are definitely overthinkers. You can be quite expressive when it comes to the overthinking. But always highly creative, very intuitive people.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, you guys make, Adam Lambert is a Aquarian that I love. Philip Dominguez, Aquarians are my favorite people. I always have the best conversations because Aquarians are those overthinkers that do think about the other stuff. And so it's never really one-sided. I always find that my conversations with all of my Aquarian friends really flow because we think of all of it, and Geminis do the same thing, where we think of all aspects and all sides of it, and we want to get every single side of the sausage sizzled. And so that's what I always enjoy about my Aquarians, and the creativity thing. There's always Aquarians always have a really great flair to them, and in whatever type of work they do. There's always like Philip Dominguez loves decorating, and his house is a fucking it's a Fabergé egg. You and all of the many things that you do, including performance and just Aquarians have fantastic creative vision. And Adam's a great singer and entertainer, and so that all of my Aquarians just have that pizzazz, honey. Y'all have something that just makes a Gemini feel at home and comfortable, and definitely the small cluster of friends that I trust are typically Aquarians. Overthinkers for sure.
And I think that could be like that's a in some way could be a positive trait, but then in some ways it could be to detriment, because then it leaves you overthinking things while other people are taking action.
There's a thing too that I always notice with my Aquarian friends. The thing, the conversations will run smoothly, and then all of a sudden I can see it. I can see it in
Like
the
physically.
posture. Yeah, I can see it in your posture, in your eyes, in the way your mouth is,
Mhm.
and it's consistent with all of my Aquarians. I see when it clicks in their head when they're like, no, no,
That's so fucked up.
I don't know. I don't think so. No. And I love it. I love it. I love seeing that little bit of, and it's crazy and it's beautiful. It's my favorite thing about Aquarians. Y'all just snap, and then it's like, you're very like there's a resistance to like, no, I don't. You're not going to try to sell me on it.
Yeah,
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out on my own. Yeah,
precociousness that happens. I think. Yeah, which is not intentional, but it does happen. It does.
Happy
happen.
birthday to all Aquarians, yo! I love y'all.
What about is there anything that I should be doing during this season as an myself or other Aquarians?
You got to follow. There's two particular Instagram sites that I follow. One is called Moon Omens. Really good stuff because they monthly or daily actually they do a thing for each sign, and they are on it. They are on it. Definitely look into that. And also there's one that I follow that's called No Gemini. And they also have No Aquarius, no, like KNOW, like no, to know it. And you got to follow that. I wish I had access. I'm using my phone right now for our Zoom, but I wish I could read one to you. But it's those two. I'm telling you, those are the two that I follow constantly. And I read those like a devotional. Like I'm into it. Definitely.
I like that. I mean, I like sharing all the funny things that like you'll get those memes that are like Aquarius be like or Gemini be like, and they're always for the most part pretty accurate, at least to like when I share them with you of just different Gemini ones where I'm like, that is so Raja. That is so very, 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 you know what I mean? Or personality ones. But also too, like as I feel like as we get older, we signs are not like, I mean, the signs sort of amplify or solidify opinions about people that that sort of are similar in age or similar in upbringing. You can see some interesting those signs solidifying, and it says like, oh, that's why that's definitely true or definitely not a breakable thing because those both signs think that or do that generally. I think that's really cool.
I find similarly to that both Gemini and Aquarius, we can go into that place of just like leave me the fuck alone, like introversion to the highest degree, and are totally fine with it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, like I was earlier when we were talking about, I mentioned about like trigger warning. Like that's something that for me, as somebody who overthinks everything, I always think, okay, well, when am I supposed, because that's like a new thing. I don't know if anyone's familiar with trigger warning, but I've noticed it a lot on TikTok as a social media platform. People will say like across
trigger warning.
Yeah, trigger warning, SA, meaning, sexual abuse, or trigger warning, DV, domestic violence, or whatever it is. But then they'll go on and it might be something that's so light to me, like, and I don't mean light funny. I just mean like, oh, wait, you just mentioned that your sister hit you on the arm because she was laughing, but you called that a trigger warning. And so I'm wondering, like, that overthinking part of me, well, does everything have to be a trigger warning? Because, I mean, what if somebody says, I'm sensitive about this or that, and you didn't trigger warn me, so now you're fucked up? Like, what requires a trigger warning is what I'm trying to understand.
I don't know. Isn't a trigger already a trigger warning?
Well, and yeah, no, I mean, I feel like that means you're saying, I want you to look into this and see what offends you. I don't know. I'm not, I mean, if that's what gets you through your day, then if somebody says, hey, one-on-one, if you said to me, hey, I really don't like talking about, whatever, an issue, I all you'd have to do is tell me that and I wouldn't bring it up, because if it bothered you, it bothered you. But it's hard in a public setting to know what every single person's going to do, and then all of a sudden you're going to get blacklisted because you didn't include one other person when you didn't know that they didn't like you talking about car accidents per se, you know what I mean, or something.
Or like trigger warning, and it's me eating like a bowl of ice cream. I just wanted to I didn't want to offend any people who are lactose intolerant.
Well, maybe there's vegetarians that are or vegans that are doing it for ethical reasons, and then there's people that are vegan because they say, oh, it's just for my health. But for me, as somebody who's always just been too lazy to do anything about it, I've always said I would love to be vegan for ethical reasons. I can see why it's important. I can see why it's necessary, and I could see why it would help everyone in the long run, including my health. But I haven't done that. So am I rude?
But does everything need a trigger warning though? Like,
I don't know. Maybe it does.
If I eat a piece of steak on video and I post something like that, am I gonna like offend people who are vegan and vegetarian?
You might.
Like, so we have to do that for everything? We have to trigger warn people for everything?
Well, this is something I was talking about the other day, when I don't know if I brought this up on the podcast, but I was having issues with this, that I was going to do this drag contest. Did you hear me talking about that?
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about it on the podcast already? We probably
a little bit. You did talk about it a little bit. About the drag
and I
contest.
said I wasn't going to do it, and I sat back, and I've talked to a bunch of people that do those contests, other people that are contemporaries, other people that have produced shows for a very long time, and they said you're going to have people that don't like it, that want you to give them something without anything in return, and you're going to have people who think that because they want to do drag professionally that it should start out with paid training, and it just doesn't work that way. And
no,
by not offering what you've always wanted to offer and you always have offered, you're stifling what you can give to others because you're afraid that there are a few people that are going to be offended by this, and you're trying to cover all your bases and your trigger warnings and all these things so that nobody gets mad at you. Someone's always going to be fucking mad at you. Someone is. Look, I just posted a picture the other day, and I was like, "Oh, celebrating my birthday, Raja and Mayhem and Big D and da 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 da." And you're again, people. Oh, you're so ugly. Give it up. Well, I don't really care about that. Whatever. You were looking to get a reaction, but what it is there's going to be people that are going to be mad. Oh well. You can't fix everything. I can't.
Why are they mad at your birthday?
Well, because it was just an opportunity to say, I see you living authentically and enjoying yourself and feeling like you look beautiful. I want you to know that I feel ugly, so I want you to feel ugly.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? So, but there's people that like with this contest idea that are like, you're not including everybody by making sure everybody that's ever been interested in drag and wants to be on that stage, whether they've done drag or not, they need to be paid because they don't realize that in order to turn your art into a profession, it has to begin with a passion. So you have to be passionate about doing art.
Let's just say it out loud. These are the rules when you're starting out in drag. Mm-hmm. You got to do a lot of it for fucking free.
You do?
Just because you learned how to do a tutorial on a cut crease and you're wearing the correct lash and the right foundation, you did all the steps. If you've never done it before, you don't get to get paid, baby. No, right. You have to do some of them for free. You go for the tip spots. So you get to workshop and practice and become better at it. And then guess what? And then they know, and then the queens notice, your peers, contemporaries, perhaps, show directors are going to notice that your talent is unequivocally one of the best things they've ever seen. And you know what? Hey, why don't you join on? That's when you get paid.
Right.
That's when you get paid. When you pay your fucking dues first, you're going to have to do some tip spots. You're going to have to work for lower pay for a little bit until you get really good. And just because you think you're really good doesn't mean everybody else does. Right. And you know what? The people who run the shows will know and they'll invite you eventually, but you got to do it for fucking free first.
Well, I think a lot of people
if you're going to be in a contest, then you're going to be in a contest and you gamble on hopefully you win the prize. But if you don't, you're just going to have to do it for fucking free.
I couldn't agree more. And the problem is that because of the opening up the dialogue of inclusion, it talks about we have to bring up exclusion. And people think, oh, well, I don't have a car to get there. So you should be facilitating if you really believe in extending this art to everyone. So it goes on and on in this big circle. And I have a hard time. I want to be able to include everyone and do all of that. But I want them to understand this is not a job before anything. It is it's art. I hate saying it that way as if I'm taking myself too seriously, but it is in fact art. that becomes a profession because it's so good that it becomes marketable. It's that simple. It's that simple. And, whatever. There's podcasts that are doing way better than we're doing because they reach people in a different way. Because people go, this message is big enough from your voice that this needs to be marketed. And people go, oh, I want to advertise on that. I want people to hear my message because I like the way their message is being delivered. I don't know. It goes in a circle, but I agree. You got to do your tip spots. You got to be in contest or fuck off. Let's take a break.
Yes. And we're back. This is See Something.
Oh, yeah. What the fuck?
See Something.
Do you want to come work for tips or?
This is in the early days when we were finally getting our stride in professionalism. Oh, sorry, we're back. Yeah, we're looking at a picture here. See Something is this section. If you're unfamiliar with our show, it's just a photo either from our own archives or some that you've even sent in as listeners, and they're a trip down memory lane. It's just us looking back at some old photos of us from our performances at various places in the country. This picture is fucking fierce. God,
it is fierce.
Which one are you? Are you in the blue?
A drink. Yeah, I'm like my little ode to the Cheshire Cat. This is This is the magic of the Dream Girls review that we used to do at Rage. Well, we did them all over the place, but Rage was what we would do on Tuesday nights. And this was a tribute to Alice in Wonderland. And the beauty of what we did here was the Dream Girls impersonations, and I've carried this with me, was not always about impersonation. It could be impersonation. It could be assassination. It could be a retelling. It could be fashion. It could be setting something to comedy, setting something dark. So that always happened all the way across the board. All of those elements happened in one show, especially when it was a thematic night. This was, as I said, Alice in Wonderland. From the very top, we have Chad as the Mad Hatter, Morgan as Alice, myself as a tribute to the Cheshire Cat, Venus Delight as the Red Queen or Queen of Hearts. There's Anjanou, who is our MC, who was just doing like a general, because she wasn't doing a specific number in that, it was a general tribute to the night, which is like bunny ears, the blue. Raja as the caterpillar, and Dolly Levi as so these were all tribute-y things. So Raja obviously took down here this sort of sexy, sensual, fashionable, languid approach to this character because that's how she visualized the character, correct?
Yeah, it was, there's always a shit ton of room for interpretation, and each one of us did our very own thing, and that was my favorite thing about performing with the Dream Girls, and it'll always be a part of, something that I will cherish till I die, was the time that we did get to perform there and the amount of fun and creativity that was allowed in that. But yeah, it was kind of like one of those things that, Chad would always usually come up with the themes, and we would get a phone call and he'd be like, okay, you have Disney night, and in this case, this is Alice in Wonderland night. And I didn't know what to do. I knew everybody was going to fucking kill it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the caterpillar, but I'm going to make it really sleek and sexy. And I'm holding an opium pipe in my hand. And I wanted the caterpillar to be kind of this, almost, she's kind of a hippie. But what I'm marveling at is my fucking body in this picture.
Yeah, it's really good.
I could never. I tucked. I have titties. My fucking waist is showing. Never. Girl, you don't even know what it would look like now. It would look sad.
Oh,
stop. There's no pad. There was no pads. It was skin.
What if you wore that now, but you did one of those nude, a nude panel, but when people do the nude panel and it's it's like orange or
Off.
it's like gray, and they're like, no, that's my skin.
You know, there's one RuPaul outfit from back in the day where I used to just stare at this one picture. And you remember that one outfit that she had during the snapshot era? And it was a bodysuit, but it looked like a bikini. It was like it was like a black bikini top and a black bikini bottom. But the illusion of the centerpiece,
Yes.
which made it even had a belly button painted onto it. And I used to stare at that picture like, damn, one day I'm gonna afford a person who can make me a costume just like that. I'm gonna need one of those.
Mhm.
RuPaul got that skin down. Not lately though. She's had some moments where I'm like, did you get a tan?
Yeah, they
You
do
know
a
what I
lot of
mean?
tanning. They do a lot of tanning.
Mm.
Yeah, a lot of people do tanning. But see, here's where I was safe. Where I was safe is that I bet you I could still fit into that costume that I have on. If you just wear fun fur.
It's fucking cool. I want it. If you still have it, I want it. It has ears on it and everything?
Yeah, so I made like a little cowl and like did the ears onto it. And then the fun fur, it's
Great.
kind of hard to tell there, but the colors were like purple and cobalt blue and black and gray, because that's where I kind of saw it.
Oh my God. I love it.
And I remember
I love
performing,
it.
you know what I performed? I performed Fun for Me by Moloko. Remember Fun for Me?
Yay! Yes, fun for me.
That song just so reminds me of Alice in Wonderland anyway. It's so insane.
Yeah, I think I did Susie and the Banshees Trust in Me.
Bust
No,
in
did I do that?
me.
No, I don't think I did that. No, that's usually my snake number.
Mhm.
I don't fucking remember what song I did. But damn,
Do you
we
like to
look
sing
good. I
bu-
love
Do
this
you like
picture.
to sing Bust in Me?
Bust in me.
Everybody looks great. Everybody looks great. Look at Morgan. Look at little baby
Aw.
Morgan.
Oh my God.
Baby Morgan.
That was when Leg Avenue started to get real good. Remember they were
Their
taking
shit
all
is
of those.
good now. It's legit.
It's so good. I just did I'll tell you about it later.
Venus looks great over here.
Mm-hmm.
Venus looks fantastic.
She does. That dress. I miss all of these moments. And look at that. There's actual there's cutouts. Like mushroom cutouts that we're posing with. Remember we used to do set pieces.
Oh, Chad made all those.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I
Chad
know.
made all those.
Chad is always so good at that. I remember when we used to do the Little Mermaid together when you were Ursula and I was Ariel. And there's a plastic rock that you can buy at fucking Home Depot. And Chad's like, you need to get this plastic rock to sit on. Like, you can't be doing Little Mermaid on a chair. Yeah. So I had a full-on plastic rock that I sat on.
Yeah. Do you remember when we would celebrate birthdays at Dreamgirls? We had the plastic cake. Chad ordered a fully decorated cake that was made out of like plaster of Paris or something. I don't know what the fuck it was made out of, but it looked like a real cake. And so we got so tired of everybody having to buy a cake that nobody would end up taking home because they did it out of love. We wanted you to feel celebrated. Chad was like, fuck it. So we had the Dreamgirls bag, if you don't know.
Well, we would always get we would get that big giant cookie from Mrs. Fields across the street, and no one would ever take it home.
Right. And no one would take it home. And so Chad got this cake that was fully decorated and had spots for candles to fit in there and everything. And it stayed in a duffel bag. It was the Dreamgirls duffel bag that had a set of dresses, microphones that were rhinestone, 3 microphones, 3 sets of earrings, lineup sheets, Post-it notes, and
love it.
CDs that had all of the music. Yeah, the Dreamgirls bag.
And a toolkit.
Yeah.
A toolkit. I love that. I love performing at the Dreamgirls. Chad has never invited me back.
No. You know what I found?
Well, what?
I found some CDs that are like Dreamgirls photo shoots.
Oh, fuck. I want to see.
Do you remember when we did the we used to do photo shoots all the time and all the production CDs. and overtures for Disney night, overtures for Halloween, overtures for Valentine's Day, Dreamgirls production CD 2002.
Oh, I used to love that. Before any of that, before they would have the pre-recorded announcement at the beginning. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are at the Dreamgirls review. Blah, blah, blah. There is no flash photography. No cameras or flash photography.
All serious.
Like, ooh, flash photography is gonna.
You're gonna get kicked
out. We're gonna kick you out. We're gonna take your camera.
But that's when people would bring actual physical cameras.
Totally.
Fuck Lori Blitz, like with the big camera down front.
Oh, Lori Blitz pictures are the best.
They are good.
Shout out to Lori
and
Blitz.
Tommy always have good ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is See Something. You know, these pictures are, by the way, on Instagram. So whenever the podcast comes out, you can see them on Instagram. You can check them out at the Mom Podcasts page. But yeah, so this is it. This is Very That. This is what we do weekly. Our show comes out every single Monday, and we want you to subscribe to make sure that you do not miss an episode.
Yeah. It's easy. Just search for Very That with Delta and Raja. Hashtag Very That with Delta and Raja on your favorite podcast app and hit the subscribe button. And remember to rate and review our show as well.
Yeah. You can send us a question at deltaandraja@gmail.com. And of course, as I said, these See Something pictures are available on the Mom Podcast page. So give that page a follow and you can look at this one that we're talking about right now and all of the other ones that are archived.
Also follow us on Instagram. You can follow me at Sultan Amrul and Delta is at Delta Work. Yeah.
And we'll be back next week with another episode of Very That. Trigger warnings.
TTYL.
You've been warned. You have been warned.
Do people say TTYL still?
Do you? Well, what about when you put like LOL? Like, sometimes I think like, are you really laughing that loud, or are you just trying to like break? Are you trying to say something that's uncomfortable and then put LOL so it just kind of buffers it? You know what I mean? It's not. You're not laughing.
You're overthinking.
You're telling me like I'm going to be late.
You're overthinking.
You know what I mean? Like if I'm going to be late, I'm just going to say I'm going to be late. LOL. Like I'm not. It's not funny. I'm late.
LOL.
Rolling on the floor, laughing my ass off because I'm making late. No, it's not funny. I'm late. You want me to come or not? Because I could go home.
Forever Dog.
To listen to Very That one day early and ad-free, join Forever Dog Plus at foreverdogpodcast.com/plus.
Very That is produced by Forever Dog and Moguls of Media, a.k.a. Mom.
Hosted by Delta Work and Raja.
Produced by Maxwell Esposito.
Music, editing, and sound design by Will Pitts.
Executive produced by Willem Belli, Alaska Thunderfuck, Big Dipper, Brett Boehm, Joe Cilio, and Alex Ramsey.